That psalm, the 88th psalm, is a bit of a problem, as you might have gathered. It's the gloomiest, bleakest, most miserable psalm of all. A cry of pain from beginning to end, with not a hint of respite or reassurance. And a lot of psalms, as you'll know, start off with a complaint. But usually there's an upward note, a lifting towards the end. The 13th psalm, which is the lectionary psalm for today, begins, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long will my enemies triumph over me?" But by the end of that psalm, the psalmist is saying, "But I trust in you. I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, for he has been good to me." That one has a happy ending. Not here, though. Psalm 88 is a psalm of utter abandonment, expressing the hopelessness of life. And it finishes on that note of darkness and despair. "You've taken my companions and my loved ones away from me, and darkness is my only friend." The compilers of our lectionary, which decide what passages of scripture are read in church, try to incorporate most of the psalms over their 3-year cycle. But they obviously didn't know what to do with this one. It's scheduled to be read for the second service on a summer Sunday. And you can almost sense the devout hope that everyone will be on holiday or dozing in church on a warm evening after a good lunch and nobody will notice it. You certainly wouldn't put it front and center for a morning service. Oops. But despite its gloomy tone, people have always found it valuable, which of course is why it's in here. John Bell, the Glasgow minister and member of the Iona community, who's written many of our modern hymns, tells of leading a retreat for Scottish Catholics in Glasgow and using that psalm. And the group read it together, and at the end of it, he asked the lady sitting next to him what she thought of it. "I thought it was marvellous," she said. John was a bit taken aback by that, and for a moment he suspected sarcastic Glasgow humour. And as someone who's lived 3 years in Glasgow, I can completely understand that. But she meant exactly what she said. And she went on, I'm quoting, "It's not that long ago, maybe 5 years or so, since I hit a very bad patch. Every Sunday I'd go to Mass, but I'd never come forward to receive Holy Communion. I just sat at the back and cried. Now, if I'd known that psalm was in the book, I'd have read it every time I went to the church, because you wouldn't ask those kind of questions unless you believed someone was listening. You wouldn't ask those kind of questions unless you believed someone was listening." In the depths of misery, the psalmist directs their questions to God. Despite everything, he or she believes that God is still there and still listening. And almost half the Psalms in the Bible are devoted to life gone wrong. Physical suffering, mental anguish, loneliness, loss, victimization, political and economic oppression. And as John Bell points out, they give us a vocabulary for pain. They give us the words for the times when all we want to do is cry or scream with rage. They help us express what we feel in dark times. And they reassure us that it's all right to feel that way, that we're not alone. And those questions, where are you, God? Why do you reject me and hide your face? Why do I feel so alone? Those questions aren't asked in anticipation of a slick answer, an easy fix that'll make it all go away. They're asked because we need to articulate suffering, because we need to talk about it, because talking helps. And you'll know when people have shared awful experiences with you, often you don't know what to say. Any words you can think of just sound trite. Easy words of comfort won't work. And sometimes silence, and maybe a hug, is the only way to affirm that no, it isn't all right. It really isn't. But what matters is that you're there, showing that someone is listening, that someone cares. And so here, in verse 13, the psalmist says, I cry to you for help, O Lord. In the morning, my prayer comes before you. It all looks hopeless, but I can still pray, and I will still pray. In some Christian traditions, this psalm's read on Good Friday, obviously with reference to Jesus suffering on the cross. And we're going to reflect now on the power of the cross in Paul's words. Paul writing to the church at Corinth. And we're going to hear that read for us now from 1 Corinthians.